The United Arab Emirates is committed to advancing progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 6, to ensure access to water and sanitation for all, and to accelerating progress throughout the Water Action Decade. Times of crises demand the best of us. When warnings sound, concerted actions must follow. Responsible water management is an issue of overriding importance to the United Arab Emirates. This is a must for a country with an average rainfall 10 times lower than the global average, limited freshwater resources, and both a growing population and economy. As our nation's founder, the late Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan, taught us, water is not simply a commodity, it is our lifeblood. We therefore believe in an inclusive, action-oriented approach to water security, based on 3 pillars of diversification, conservation, and innovation. These pillars are captured in the UAE Water Security Strategy 2036, which aims to ensure continued and sustainable access to water. The strategy addresses each of the supply, demand, and emergency preparedness dimensions of the water supply chain. It seeks to reduce our potable water consumption by 20% and to increase the reuse of treated water to 95%. I am pleased to note also that the strategy complements the UAE's updated second nationally determined contribution, published last September, as well as the UAE Net Zero by 2050 strategy. Water sustainability is inextricably linked with our national and economy-wide roadmap to achieve net zero emissions. The UAE has traditionally relied on desalinated plants to produce water. To reduce the environmental impact of desalination and its inefficiencies, the UAE is developing and scaling up independent water projects based on reverse osmosis, also known as RO technology, while expanding the share of clean and renewable energy in desalination. The increasing adoption of clean and renewable energy in the UAE will further decouple water consumption from the nation's economic and population growth, as evidenced by the launch of several of the world's largest solar power plants and the Baraka civilian nuclear power station, today the largest single source of clean electricity in the Arab world. At the same time, the UAE is making substantial progress in reducing water losses and water consumption through the promulgation of green building and product standards, building retrofit initiatives, water tariff reform, and public awareness initiatives aimed at both residential and commercial consumers. Advances in wastewater treatment are also playing a significant role, particularly in our agricultural sector. Innovation is key if we are to address the challenges water presents and to take advantage of the opportunities it offers. Currently, agriculture accounts for 70% of all fresh water withdrawal globally. If we are to shift to a more sustainable pathway, innovation and effectiveness will be inevitable. The UAE has positioned itself at the forefront of climate-smart agriculture and food systems, driving the adoption of modern farming solutions such as optimized greenhouse design, hydroponics, and vertical farms. Through the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate, the UAE's joint initiative with the United States, partners have committed $8 billion of investments in climate-smart agriculture and food systems that will benefit the long-term water security of all nations. These innovative approaches to land and food systems are helping to bring down emissions, strengthen adaptation and resilience, and boost overall sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, the scale of these challenges demonstrate the transformative economic and technological changes that are needed today. The UAE is proud to host the 28th Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP28, in November this year. Inclusivity will be one of the hallmarks of COP28, not only in terms of the stakeholders we aim to have at the table, but also in terms of the agenda. It was only last year at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh that water security was featured centrally for the first time as a core part of the agenda, and it was decided that water-related ecosystems must be prioritized in delivering climate adaptation benefits. The UAE during its presidency will be building on this crucial work. The global stocktake will be one of the important outcomes of this year's COP, as it will provide the first opportunity to evaluate our collective progress in delivering on the goals of the Paris Agreement. In light of the inextricable link between water and climate, water must be a central theme to address in the response to the global stocktake. At the same time, this stocktake should not simply look back at what we have done. Rather, we need to provide credible pathways for how we need to shift trajectories and accelerate the transformations needed to achieve our goals by 2030. The Water Action Agenda and our deliberations during this event will serve as crucial contributions to the stocktake and will inform the outcomes of COP28 directly. Excellencies, as an elected member of the Security Council, the UAE has also been a champion of climate, peace, and security, and the need for the Council to address emerging challenges. The stress on our water systems is contributing in ever more concrete ways to food shortages, farmer-herder tensions and displacement, ultimately undermining stability in the most fragile and conflict-affected areas. With impacts of climate change manifesting most concretely through water, via droughts, flooding, and sea level rise, these trends are only likely to worsen. The UAE will continue to work with its partners to ensure that the Council focuses on practical ways to ensure that climate risks inform its decision-making. We look forward to harnessing the positive momentum generated by the Water Action Decade, the UN 2023 Water Conference, and the Water Action Agenda when we welcome the world for COP28 in November in Dubai in the UAE later this year. We are on track to reduce total water consumption by the food sector by more than 15%, despite doubling production by 2030. The UAE also has a national plan, the Water Security Strategy 2036, ensuring programs are implemented on the supply side, demand side, but also ensuring that in emergency circumstances we have production and distribution. However, the challenges that were once seen as relevant only for desert countries or small island development states are now being experienced by a growing number of countries, to the tune of nearly 2 billion people. There is thankfully a flip side to these challenges. Investment and action on water supply, ecosystem health, and food systems have never had higher returns. As the host of COP28 later this year, the UAE is committed to an inclusive and consultative process that results in enhanced financing, policy, and technology around water, building on Egypt's pioneering introduction of water at COP27. We are bolstered by the global stocktake, the mandate from the Paris Agreement to respond to implementation gaps in unprecedented detail, as well as by the required agreement on the global goal on adaptation. All discussions at COP28 will accordingly pivot back to the actions, including on water, that we need to take over the next 7 years to keep 1.5 degrees alive and prevent and address climate impacts. Throughout the year, we will continue to consult widely on potential outcomes related to water, both at water fora and in spheres where water is not traditionally discussed. Today, I would like to share 4 initial reflections on potential outcomes from our consultations. First, many stakeholders would like to see COP28 drive implementation of the 30 by 30 agreement from Montreal, project preparation facilities for nature-based solutions, debt for nature swaps, and carbon credits are all being discussed as potential levers to protect and restore rivers, oceans, mangroves, wetlands, and other critical water-based systems. Second, vulnerable and fragile countries in particular are looking for a sharp increase in international investment in related food and water systems, mentioned by my colleague from South Africa, from drought-resistant seeds to pipe upgrades. These investments are critical to reducing the loss and damage and instability that is driven by water scarcity. Currently, fragile countries receive only $2 per capita for climate finance. Throughout the lead up to COP28, we will be looking at the options to transform this figure. Third, and related, early warning and anticipatory action systems are a low-cost, high-return investment to not only avoid the worst impacts of disaster, but also to generate data on the water-climate nexus for future planning. We have heard widespread support for the early warnings for all initiative and a hope to rally around a clear investment plan for each year to 2027. Lastly, there is unequivocal demand for investment in innovation. Stakeholders are looking for the next generation desalination. We at the UAE are working on decoupling power and water, using renewable energy, and looking at technologies such as RO for desalination. Also looking at next generation of irrigation, higher quality and quantity at lower cost. So COP28 will accordingly showcase these investment opportunities using platforms like the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate, which brings together so far 275 partners, including 42 governments, around specific innovation sprints, many deeply tied to water. Excellencies, I know the statistics are daunting, but I am optimistic from our consultations that the technology, financing, and political will around water are coming together as never before. The UN Water Conference this week is a testament to this mindset shift. So we look forward to working with all stakeholders to identify the biggest pieces of work for this year and to push new resources and new partners to the existing initiatives and champions that can deliver results on water initiatives, not just at COP28, but across all relevant multilateral fora in the next 7 years. Simon Steele, the Executive Secretary at the UNFCCC, just said in a session a really nice quote I'd like to quote here. I know Simon is in this room. Let's work for water so that water can work for us.